beautiful souls. Welcome back to Healing Her Feminine podcast. I'm Lindsey Alexis, your guide in all things hormonal health, functional nutrition, and embodied healing. Today, we are diving into a topic that many women, including myself, struggle with, and that is sugar cravings and our lovely hormones. If you ever have felt stuck in a cycle of reaching for sweets, especially late at night, after dinner, before bed, and you continue to blame yourself as far as like not having enough willpower, like why do I continue to do this? I'm trying to be healthier, whatever the case may be. Or if you're just simply wondering if you're just someone who craves sweets all the time and that's just who you are, then this episode is going to be for you. We're going beyond the old narrative that cravings are just about self-control. Instead, we're going to share some real science behind why you're having those sugar cravings. We are going to discuss how hormones actually play a huge role in why you're getting those cravings, but more importantly, what you can do to break this cycle without having any restriction, any shame around it, or any guilt around those sugar cravings. And it could also be salty cravings too. So just know whenever I talk about sugar cravings, we're also talking about the salty snacks as well. So go grab a cozy drink if you would like, and let's get honest about sugar and our cravings and how to work with your body and not against it. So first, let's discuss the science, because everybody likes a little bit of sciencey information, right? You can be the semi-expert once you leave this podcast. So why sugar cravings happen in the first place? A lot of times it's just your blood sugar and insulin. There are other factors, and we'll get into those in a second, but a lot of times it's just that roller coaster effect of your blood sugar spiking, your insulin bringing it down, and then you go eat whatever carbohydrate of your choosing that you're craving, and then your blood sugar will rise up again, and then your insulin brings it back down, and you just kind of repeat this up and down roller coaster effect. So every time that you do eat, especially the simpler type carbs, those empty carbs that we talk about, like I said, your blood sugar is going to rise. And so what happens is your pancreas senses the rise of your blood sugar, and it will release insulin into your system to bring that blood sugar back down, so that what ends up happening is the glucose molecules that you have consumed, that insulin as a hormone itself will attach to those molecules, and then it gets filtered into your bloodstream and eventually filtered out of your body or stored as fat, whichever one your body tells it. If you eat a lot of sugar, or if you skip meals, especially if you skip meals, then you'll get these really big spikes and crashes, because you're just not consistently keeping that blood sugar level. And so when that roller coaster effect happens after the crash is when your body is craving an extra kick of energy. And often that comes in the form of those sugars, right? Or salty cravings. Depends on, again, what your body is actually asking for. So your body is always going to speak to you as to what it needs. You are the responsible one as to what you actually give it to suppress those messages that it's giving you. So that's where this up and down roller coaster comes from, is the insulin and the blood sugar. When you're stressed out, which we have talked about over and over again on the podcast, your body releases cortisol, which is a stress hormone, another hormone. what happens is cortisol actually increases your appetite for that quick energy. Again, those simple sugars, simple carbs. And that is preparing you for fight or flight, because think about it. A bear or a tiger is chasing you out in the wilds back in the day, let's say. We always go back to our I want to say rural, but that's not the right word. Back to our native origins. We have to protect ourselves. Our body is hardwired to constantly protect ourselves. Our body is actually hardwired in a what we call a negative feedback loop, which instead of it saying, "Oh, I'm always safe," prove to me that I'm not safe. It actually says, "I'm always not safe. Prove to me that I'm safe." And that's the negative feedback loop. So this cortisol, like I said, it'll increase your appetite for quick energy release because your body is preparing itself to run. What do you need to run? Carbs. What do athletes eat a lot of times before bigger games and things? Is carbs, because they burn, and they burn off that energy. It gives them energy, and that's your fight or flight response. So it makes sense that the more stressed out you are, the more likely you're going to be having those sugar or salty cravings. If you have chronic stress, which keeps your cortisol levels high, sugar cravings are going to be more frequent and they're going to be more intense. Another thing to note here as well is when you go past your cortisol levels being high and your adrenals are actually completely burnt out, which means your cortisol levels don't register as high. They always register as low. But what that means on the opposite end of the scale is that cortisol is not being released in order to control your fight or flight. So now you're in a constant state of fight or flight because your cortisol can't regulate you back to that normal level homeostasis. So just be aware if you have adrenal fatigue that this also relates to you. So your cortisol level might not be high when it comes to your test results, but know that it has the same effect. It's just on the opposite end of the spectrum. So we've talked about insulin hormone, we've talked about cortisol hormone. Let's talk about the other hormones. Let's talk about estrogen and progesterone and your menstrual cycle. So those two things, they fluctuate throughout your cycle. We have 28, 32-day cycle. Each week is different. Sometimes estrogen is higher, sometimes progesterone is higher, and it just shifts throughout your cycle. In your luteal phase, which is the week or so before your period starts, your progesterone levels are at its highest. It's when it rises and your serotonin, another hormone, ends up dipping. And when this happens, that's when the cravings for sweets and carbs come in, because your brain is seeking a mood. And then some women experience more intense cravings around ovulation as well, or menstruation. Again, it's just due to these hormonal changes that happen on a week-to-week basis. So if you are tracking your menstrual cycle, which I highly recommend, and I also highly recommend that you guys cycle sync food and work and all the things. If you're tracking that information, then you'll know, okay, my progesterone is rising at this time, so I know that I'm going to need to essentially protect, let's use the word protect, that progesterone by consuming carbs. But be mindful of the carbs. Be mindful that they are not simple carbs and that they are more complex carbs. So this is the week that I encourage you to go have that pasta, right? Go have the whole foods of, fiber and carbs collectively. Try not to be as strict on a low carb diet during this time. Just like I said, if you're cycle syncing, then you will know exactly what types of food to eat and when. So, what have we talked about? 5 hormones now. Let's talk about some more. Let's talk about some more hormones. You have ghrelin and leptin. If you guys want to look that up, ghrelin is GHRELIN, and ghrelin is what signals hunger in your body. And leptin is the hormone that signals that you are full. Did I say Lipton? I mean leptin. Leptin. I can't believe I just used the black tea. Leptin, not Lipton. So if you are having or experiencing things like poor sleep, or if you've chronically been dieting and you're not getting all the nutrients that you need, or if you have the, high stress, that cortisol level, again, all of these things can disrupt these 2 hormones, which in turn is going to make those cravings stronger and harder to satisfy, because you're not going to have that feeling of fullness after your regular meal. You're not going to have the proper signals for hunger at the right time. This also goes back to if you are someone who's skipping meals, right? We talked about this, I think, in the last episode, where when you deprive yourself of food, eventually your body accepts the fact that you are in scarcity mode, that you are in a famine state in your external environment. And so these hormones lessen their production, which decreases the signal for hunger. So you're not going to feel hungry when you should be feeling hungry, because you have trained your body to suppress that hormonal signal. I'm telling you guys, like, hormones are so finicky and sensitive. Like, you can train your hormones either which way, for better or worse. So please be mindful of what you consume, how much you consume, when you consume it, all of these things. And what will end up happening too, like, this may sound like a lot of stuff to be kind of managing in your day-to-day life, especially as a high functioning, busy female. You have a crap ton of other stuff on your plate. But what ends up happening is, if you take the time out initially to deep dive into all of these things and figure these things out, come up with a plan, that plan eventually becomes habit, eventually becomes routine, and then it becomes second nature. It's just getting back on track that is the hurdle that needs to be overcome. And I'll throw the plug in here, where this is why I do what I do, is because I understand you as a high functioning woman, what that actually looks like in real life, like what your external environment actually looks like. So when I do my 90-day program with women, I do all the bells and whistles for you, so you're not taking on extra in your plate. That way you have the systems, you have the education, you have the guides, the templates, etc., that actually you just plug into your life, right? And then apply it. That's all you have to do, is apply it. You don't have to figure out any of the calculations or anything. And that's exactly why it is that I do what I do as well. Like, it's not just me wishing you better health, it's also understanding that your plate is full. So let me help you help yourself by taking this excess knowledge and work off of your plate and giving you a done for you plan that you just simply integrate into your life. And that's why it's personalized, because everybody's life looks different, right? It's not a one size fits all sort of situation. Last but not least, as far as sciencey stuff goes, I also want you to know that it's not just a lack of willpower. Like, we just listed, 5, 6, 7 hormones there that you have control over in a sense, but kind of you don't. Those hormones are going to get produced and transmitted throughout your body based off of your actions, yes, but in the quantities, you have no control over the quantity. So your body is just basically wired to seek quick energy. Like I said, it's in that negative feedback loop. It's in fight or flight. It's not that it wants to be in fight or flight. It wants to be in homeostasis, but your body is wired to be proven otherwise. Sorry, guys. I have like this nonstop like cough today. Okay, so again, when your blood sugar drops, quick energy is what your body is craving. If your stress is high or if you're not sleeping well, all of these things deal with hormones across the board, and it's all connected, right? So restriction or guilt often leads to a stronger rebound effect. So it's not about being, weak or you should be guilty or you lack a willpower, lack the strength, whatever. It's just really understanding your own biology. Again, going back to, cycle syncing and stuff like that, that really, really, really helps. Looking at my notes, making sure I have everything science related. Yeah. So like I said, your body's just trying to keep you safe. It's trying to keep you balanced. So whenever you swing one way, it's going to try to swing you the other, and vice versa. Okay, so let's go over what normal blood sugar looks like, or what you shouldn't experience if you have normal blood sugar. So it's natural for you to have slight rises and falls in your blood sugar, especially after meals, because you just consumed food, and so your blood sugar is going to rise, and then your insulin's going to trigger and connect and bring it back down and kind of stabilize it. So throughout the day, you should have about 3 to 5 peaks. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner obviously are probably going to be the higher peaks, but if you have snacks in between, there's going to be lower peaks. The idea is to keep it within a range. That's why we have blood sugar range, 80 to 120, although I think that they've actually increased it to 150 a few years ago. So that's your normal blood sugar range, and that's stable. Like I said, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, it's going to go a little higher, which is fine. It's when your body can't bring it back down when that becomes an issue. So some symptoms of those blood sugar swings, you might notice fatigue, more fatigue than if you are just chronically not sleeping well. You might experience irritability. You might have headaches. I know when my blood sugar would go too low when I was a teenager, that I would get really bad migraines. So that could be you if you're experiencing migraines. Shakiness is another symptom. Intense hunger, so that ghrelin hormone is just off the charts because it's not being regulated. So you're going to have that intense hunger. If you are experiencing all of these all the time consistently, then I would recommend getting tested for type 1 or type 2 diabetes. This is how we found out that my son had type 1 diabetes. He got really, really tired one day, just could not help himself. And at first we were like, oh, well, he had a really rough day yesterday, really long day. Maybe that's why he's tired. But then he said that he had a really bad migraine, which also wasn't really abnormal. He gets migraines every so often. I figured, me being his mom, who also used to experience migraines, that he was just going to go through that phase of having migraines. So both of those things weren't really red flags for us at the time. I also want to side note here, diabetes does not run in the family on either side. So it's still a mystery how he got my type 1 diabetes, but I do have a theory as to why he got type 1 diabetes, and that's a story for another day, but it does have to do with fight or flight and his body So, what really was the thing was his shakiness and his intense hunger. He was like, Mom, I'm eating and I still feel really hungry. And if you looked at his hands were shaking too. And we were like, what is wrong? We thought it was flu. We thought it was a flu that he got or something. But it wasn't until nighttime. So we went through this all day. It wasn't until nighttime where my intuition as his mom was just like, do not let that boy go to sleep. And I'm glad that I listened to my intuition. That's another reason why on this podcast we talk about honing in on that intuition, is because your intuition as a female, whether you're a mom or not, is so crucial to your decision making. Like, it's actually life saving. So if you feel disconnected from your intuition, then see if I already have a podcast up about intuition. And if there isn't, I'm pretty sure there will be at some point, because it is crucial to healing your feminine. So anyway, so my intuition just said, do not let him go to bed tonight. And I was like, I told his dad, I was like, I can't let him go to sleep. We can't let him go to sleep. We have to take him to the hospital. It was like I said, 8 o'clock at night. We took him to the hospital, and sure enough, they did his finger stick, tested his blood sugar, over 500. I honestly want to say it was in the 600s, could be 550 to 600, but I will always remember that his A1C was 15, which is pretty massive, because the normal average is about 7. So he was double that. So he ended up staying in the hospital for like a few days to a week. Got it under control, all this stuff. But this is why it's crucial to know your body. It's crucial to know your cycle, to listen, really tune in and listen to your body and what it is telling you, because it literally could save your life one day. Getting off of that, that's my story and part of my story. I just wanted to share with you guys why it's so important, if you are experiencing these things, to actually seek, professional guidance on your blood sugar if you have these things, because your doctor needs to actually run your blood work for you. Going back to that chronic roller coaster we talked about earlier. So if your blood sugar is not being regulated correctly, then obviously we need to break it, right? We need to break that cycle. We need to come back into alignment, into homeostasis. And I'm a proponent to not doing it with restriction, right? We're not going to tell you what to eat, what not to eat. We will tell you what is helpful, right? So gentle nutrition strategies that I have for you. And I'm probably going to say this again because I've already said it multiple times on other podcast episodes. Protein, fat, and fiber, our PFF plate. Just balanced meals, making sure you have enough protein, making sure you have enough healthy fats, and making sure you have fiber. Fiber actually connects with the sugars. So if you eat a whole apple instead of apple juice, your blood sugar won't spike as high, because the skin of and the meat of the apple too, but both of those combined is fiber, and that fiber helps bind with the glucose, which helps your body process it so that your blood sugar does not spike as high as you would the simple carbs, which would be the comparison apple juice. So you have slow sugar absorption when you're eating fiber, fat, and protein. Don't skip meals, guys. Do not skip meals. Skipping meals does you zero good. It will not help you lose weight. Don't believe what you hear out there in the world with skipping meals as a female. If you're a guy, sure, go fast. All you want, go fast. If you are menopausal or postmenopausal, sure, fine, go fast. That's fine. If you have not gone through menopause yet and are not through it or on the other side, do not skip meals. Don't skip meals. Because it's going to mess up your blood sugar. It's going to mess up those hormones, the cortisol of your body is going to be stressed out that you're skipping meals. It's going to input more cortisol, and the domino effect happens. Everything that we just talked about in the beginning of this podcast, that is the result of skipping meals. It's deregulation of cortisol. It's deregulation of ghrelin, of leptin. It's deregulation of progesterone, of estrogen. It's all of the things. So please, please, please don't skip meals. I cannot say it enough. Choose mindful eating as well. Eat things that your body likes. Don't eat things that your body doesn't like. I don't know why people tell people to eat things and just get over it and their body doesn't like it. Doesn't make any sense to me. I know for a fact I don't like olives, so don't go tell me that I need to go on a Mediterranean diet and eat olives all day long. Like, no, that's not happening. Olives, feta cheese, ain't doing it. So don't tell me Mediterranean's for me, because it's not. It really is not. Some people can't eat meat. Their body just, they're A blood types for starters, and their body just can't process meat like it should. So don't go tell somebody who's an A blood type that they need to be eating all kinds of red meat. They don't have the acid in their stomach to digest it, and I'm pretty sure their body's going to be upset, literally, physically, if they try to eat it. When you eat things that your body rejects, doesn't like, tells you, signals to you in some way, shape, or form that it does not like it, it's going to cause inflammation. Inflammation is what, or chronic inflammation, let's add the word chronic in there. Chronic inflammation is what causes a lot of chronic illnesses. It also causes a lot of hormonal imbalances. So if you can avoid the things that your body physically rejects, you're better off. So don't take my word for it if you can't eat certain things. Find a replacement. There is way too many food options in this world to replace one thing for another that you need to just be eating certain things and not other things. That's ridiculous to me. That is a ridiculous psychology to me. So that's my take on that. With mindful eating, I want you to check in with yourself. So when you feel stressed out, when you feel emotionally triggered, when you're gonna go for the sweet or salty cravings, really check in with yourself and say, hey, just take a step back and say, what am I really needing right now? What is my body really telling me that I need right now? Is it really telling me I need another 2 Oreos? Or is it telling me that I need magnesium? Or would I be satisfied with just some sort of nut butter with a piece of chocolate? You know, a lot of times, guys, I will tell you this before we get into the swaps for your cravings, a lot of times you're dehydrated. A lot of times you are dehydrated. So if you know you just ate a PFF plate for breakfast or lunch or dinner and you notice that you are about to go for a sweet or salty craving, yes, take a step back and do what I just said. You know, what am I really needing right now? But while you're contemplating that, I encourage you to take an 8-ounce glass of water and drink it. Now, it would be even better if you took an 8-ounce glass of electrolyte water and drank it and just let it process while you're really considering what is my body needing right now. Because I guarantee you, if it's a chocolate craving, 9 times out of 10 it's a magnesium. You're lacking magnesium. Either you're not taking a magnesium supplement at night, or you're not getting enough electrolytes for your body to actually function, I'll just say neurologically. Okay. And again, I recommend the Ultima, and I'll link those below in the description box as well. So yeah, pause, check in when you get those emotional or stressful cravings. Um, it's always good to pause. It's always good to pause. Also, if you're someone who has a lot of shame or guilt around snacking, or the outside world has put that on you, just be gentle with yourself, because like I said, 9 times out of 10, it's not anything that you can actually control. It's just your hormones speaking their truth, and you can fix that. It's fixable. Hormones are fixable. All right, let's get into some swaps and we'll close out for today. So if you have a sweet tooth, you can try, like I just said, some nut butter, some dark chocolate. Make sure it is, I think it's 75% or darker. You can try some berries. You can try some Greek yogurt. I personally eat ratio protein yogurt instead of Greek yogurt. So protein, added protein. You can do some chocolate milk. Recommend the Fairlife milk, their protein content. You do dates. I personally like dates. I don't know if that makes me weird, but I like dates. 1 or 2 of those. Something else. They have the the brand is escaping me. The frozen yogurt bars. They don't have a lot of added sugar in them. Yasso. There you go. Yasso. Yasso. You can always get those too. If you know you're like an ice cream lover, go for those. My son and I both eat those on occasion whenever we are craving ice cream. So there's that. Crunchy salt type cravings, you can get roasted chickpeas. They come in a variety of flavors, kind of crunchy, salty. You can get air popped popcorn. Popcorn is always a good go-to for low carb options that are crunchy. Do be mindful though that it is corn, in moderation, I'll say, because a lot of people have digestive issues where corn and nuts are going to irritate that and cause that inflammation again. So be mindful, because the next option is nuts or seeds. And if you are cycle syncing, you should be rotating out your seed content pretty each week, basically. But those are also good options, nuts and seeds. Make sure that they don't have excess sugars. Plain would be the best option, but you could get slightly salted ones if you wanted to. And also, side note with the salt thing, just make sure that your diet isn't full of salt either. That's another topic for another day, but high sodium content is also inflammatory, so be careful of that. Another crunchy one I just want to add in here that is low carb also are pork rinds. My son likes pork rinds. I could take it or leave it, honestly, but they do come in different flavors, so there's that. Comfort foods or high carb foods, you can swap those with a sweet potato with cinnamon. So good. You can do overnight oats with cinnamon again. And you can do chia pudding. You can also add berries to both of those. Spices are always your friend, by the way. I've said this in a different podcast too, but spices are always good. Test out different spices on different things and find spices that you like. They have so many spices now, it's ridiculous. They have apple pie spice, they have pumpkin pie spice, they have all kinds of things. The everything bagel spice. They have so many different options out there. So go try like different spices. They have blends of spices, seasonings. Like, don't be afraid to really deep dive into the spice category, because those are free. Those are no carbs, no calories. They're 100% free. So anytime you want to up your game on something, like flavorful wise, go for the seasonings, 100%. And again, all these swaps, like I said, listen to your body with them. You can find similar swaps as well, but it's not about restriction. I just want you guys to know that this isn't saying that you need to stop eating 5 Oreos in moderation, right? Everything in moderation is what I personally go by. Also, what I go by is, well, I go by your blood type as well. But if you do eat something that is on the processed side, then caveat that with something that is a whole food that's going to, balance that out. So if it's a high sugary processed food, balance it out with some protein, something whole food, and you'll be fine. If you can balance it out with some greens, you would be 100 times better, because the greens are going to flush all of that processed stuff out. So again, I'm never the one to tell you to stop doing what you're doing, but I will tell you to limit it to moderation, right? Because obviously I'm not going to go tell you to eat a whole entire pack of Oreos in one night. We will dial back on those for sure. But we'll replace it with something else. So like if that's your typical, then slowly we'll wean you off of it into something that's just as equally satisfying. Last but not least, always remember that cravings are information, is data. Everything your body tells you is data. Has nothing to do with your character, has nothing to do with who you are as a person at all. It's just your body signaling to you, hey, I'm low on this nutrient, vitamin, whatever, right? Please replenish me. Do the balanced meals, like I said, the PFF plate. Try some of the mindful swaps. See if you can come up with better mindful swaps as well. And just always be kind to yourself. Always have curiosity on what your body is saying, what your body likes, what it doesn't like. Just really get to know your body, essentially. Don't be guilty about it. No one else is in charge of your life except for you, right? Nobody else can make you do decisions. You make those decisions. So with that being said, I do have a free resource that y'all are more than welcome to download. It is a meal plan template. I also have a meal plan that you can purchase when you download the free meal plan template. It is a 7-day meal plan itself that is already done for you that you can follow if you want to get a jump start on reducing those cravings and eating balanced meals and all the things, meal planning and meal prepping and meal enjoying. So all of that is in the description box as well. Actually, let me tell you what the link is for the free meal plan real quick. I have so many links, it's not even funny. Okay, so you can go to lindsayalexis.co. Lindsay Alexis is one word, so not .com but .co. /meal plan template meal plan. And all you're going to do is it essentially walks you through how to build out a meal plan. It gives you grocery list options, swaps, mindfulness techniques, all the things that are in there, and all that's free. And then, like I said, when you download that, you'll be prompted if you want the actual done for you 7-day meal plan on top of that. So you guys can go check that out as well. And so that is everything that I have for you guys today. Thank you for listening. Also, guys, if you can comment if you have any questions, first of all, questions or concerns, I'd be happy to answer them. But also, if you have appreciated the podcast so far, if you guys can go rate the podcast for me, that would be great too. So I will see you guys on the next one.